Hirono.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Listening to all of you testifying, thank you very much for being here. Clearly, AI truly is a game-changing tool, and we need to get the regulation of this tool right, because my staff, for example, asked AI, it might have been GPT-4, it might have been, I don't know, one of the other entities, to create a song that my favorite band, BTS, a favorite song, a song that they would sing, somebody else's song, but neither of the artists were involved in creating what sounded like a really genuine song. So you can do a lot. We also asked, can there be a speech created talking about the Supreme Court decision in Dobbs and the chaos that it created using my voice, my kind of voice, and it created a speech that was really good. It almost made me think about, what do I need my staff for? So don't worry, that's not where we
Nervous laughter behind you.
Their jobs are safe. But there's so much that can be done. And one of the things that you mentioned, Mr. Altman, that intrigued me was you said GPT-4 can refuse harmful requests. So you must have put some thought into how your system, if I can call it that, can refuse harmful requests. What do you consider a harmful request? You can just keep it short.
Yeah. I'll give a few examples. One would be about violent content.
Okay.
Another would be about content that's encouraging self-harm. Another is adult content. Not that we think adult content is inherently harmful, but there's things that could be associated with that we cannot reliably enough differentiate, so we refuse all of it.
So those are some of the more obvious harmful kinds of information. But in the election context, for example, I saw a picture of former President Trump being arrested by NYPD, and that went viral. I don't know, is that considered harmful? I've seen all kinds of statements attributed to any one of us that could be put out there that may not rise to your level of harmful content, but there you have it. So two of you said that we should have a licensing scheme. I can't envision or imagine right now what kind of a licensing scheme we would be able to create to pretty much regulate the vastness of this game-changing tool. So are you thinking of an FTC kind of a system, an FCC kind of a system? What do the two of you even envision as a potential licensing scheme that would provide the kind of guardrails that we need to protect literally our country from harmful content?
To touch on the first part of what you said, there are things besides should this content be generated or not, that I think are also important. So that image that you mentioned was generated. I think it'd be a great policy to say generated images need to be made clear in all contexts that they were generated. And then we still have the image out there, but we're at least requiring people to say this was a generated image.
Okay, well, you don't need an entire licensing scheme in order to make that a reality.
Where I think the licensing scheme comes in is not for what these models are capable of today, because as you pointed out, you don't need a new licensing agency to do that. But as we head, and this may take a long time, I'm not sure, as we head towards artificial general intelligence, and the impact that will have, and the power of that technology, I think we need to treat that as seriously as we treat other very powerful technologies, and that's where I personally think we need such a scheme.
I agree, and that is why by the time we're talking about AGI, we're talking about major harms that can occur through the use of AGI. So, Professor Marcus, what kind of a regulatory scheme would you envision? And we can't just come up with something, that is going to be take care of the issues that will arise in the future, especially with AGI. So, what kind of a scheme would you contemplate?
Well, first, if I can rewind just a moment, I think you really put your finger on the central scientific issue in terms of the challenges in building artificial intelligence. We don't know how to build a system that understands harm in the full breadth of its meaning. Mm-hmm. So what we do right now is we gather examples and we say, is this like the examples that we have labeled before? but that's not broad enough. And so I thought your questioning beautifully outlined the challenge that AI itself has to face in order to really deal with this. We want AI itself to understand harm, and that may require new technology. So I think that's very important. On this second part of your question, the model that I tend to gravitate towards, but I am not an expert here, is the FDA, at least as part of it, in terms of you have to make a safety case and say why the benefits outweigh the harms in order to get that license. Probably we need elements of multiple agencies. I'm not an expert there, but I think that the safety case part of it is incredibly important. You have to be able to have external reviewers that are scientifically qualified look at this and say, have you addressed enough? So I'll just give one specific example. AutoGPT frightens me. That's not something that OpenAI made, but something that OpenAI did make called ChatGPT plugins led a few weeks later to some building open source software called AutoGPT. And what AutoGPT does is it allows systems to access source code, access the internet, and so forth. And there are a lot of potential, let's say, cybersecurity risks there. There should be an external agency that says, well, we need to be reassured if you're going to release this product that there aren't going to be cybersecurity problems, or there are ways of addressing it.
So, Professor, I am running out of time. There's, I just wanted to mention, Ms. Montgomery, your model is a use model similar to what the EU has come up with, but the vastness of AI and the complexities involved, I think, would require more than looking at the use of it. I think that, based on what I'm hearing today, don't you think that we're probably going to need to do a heck of a lot more than to focus on what use it is being, AI is being used for. For example, you can ask AI to come up with a funny joke or something, but you can use you can ask the same AI tool to generate something that is like an election fraud kind of a situation. So I don't know how you will make a determination based on where you're going with the use model, how to distinguish those kinds of uses of this tool. So I think that if we're going to go toward a licensing kind of a scheme, we're going to need to put a lot of thought into how we're going to come up with an appropriate scheme that is going to provide the kind of future reference that we need to put in place. So I thank all of you for coming in and providing further food for thought. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks very much, Senator Hirono. Senator Padilla.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the flexibility as I've been back and forth between this committee and Homeland Security Committee, where there's a